God did come as he said he would, and killed the firstborn sons in all the houses of Egypt. But the houses of the Israelites he passed over, or spared, not stopping at those houses to kill the firstborn sons. For that reason the Hebrews or Jews to this day celebrate each year the feast of the Passover, or the time when God passed over the houses of their ancestors and let their sons live. God had told Moses and Aaron that everything the Israelites should do to show that they loved and worshiped God, and to mark their houses so that the avenging angel of God would pass over them when he came to kill the firstborn of the Egyptians. Every man among the Israelites was to take a lamb from the flock and keep it for 4 days. Then he was to kill in the evening, and he was to take a bunch of leaves from the plant called hyssop, and dip this bunch in the blood of the lamb, and go to the door of his house and strike the bunch of hyssop on each side of the door, and over the door, so that there would be 3 marks of blood on the outside of every house in which a pious Israelite lived. When the man had done this, he was to go inside the house and stay there. No one was to leave the house until morning. The lamb that had been killed was to be roasted and eaten that same night by all the people living in the house. They were to eat it when they were fully clothed with their shoes on and all prepared to leave Egypt and journey toward the promised land, where they would be free. God promised the Israelites that when he saw the marks of blood on the house, his angel would pass over that house and not stop there to kill the firstborn son. That is why the supper of the lamb, which the Israelites ate that night, was called the Lord's Passover. There was another command, too, that the Lord gave the Israelites for this supper. At this supper they were only to eat unleavened bread, that is, bread in which there was no yeast or leavening to make it rise, for the Israelites had to be prepared to leave Egypt so hastily that there would be no time to wait until the bread might be leavened. To this day, also, Jews celebrating the feast of the Passover eat only unleavened bread, which they called matzah. All came about as it always does, just as the Lord had said. At midnight the Lord visited the 10th plague on all the land of Egypt. In Israelite houses there were marked with blood of the lamb, no one died. And to every Egyptian house the Lord avenging angel went to kill the firstborn son. Pharaoh's eldest son died that night, and the eldest son of all his ministers. And Pharaoh rose up that night, and all the ministers and all the people, that were a great city of sorrow throughout the land, for there was not one house in which there was not one dead. Then Pharaoh was convinced that he could not resist the will of the Lord. And he called to him Moses and Aaron, and he said to them, "Tell your people and all the Israelites to take their wives and their children, and their flocks and their herds, and all their possessions, and go from our land." The Lord had told Moses, "Before my people go, let them ask the Egyptians for gold and silver and precious jewels to take with them." But the Israelites hardly needed to ask. The Egyptians were so anxious to see them gone that they offered the Israelites gold, silver, jewels, and fine clothing just to see them gone. The Israelites began their great going out of Egypt, which is called Exodus. They took their herds and their flocks, and the unbaked dough that the Lord had told them not to leaven with yeast, and the jewelry that the Egyptians had given them. It was not only the Israelites who went. Great number of Egyptians who worked for the Israelites and lived with them went with them. Between Egypt and the promised land of Canaan, to which the Israelites were going, lay more than 100 miles of deadly desert. In the desert there was no food or water for the great horde of Israelites who left Egypt on that fateful night. It was to take 40 years of wandering in the desert before the Israelites finally reached the promised land. Without the help of God, they could never have done it, as you will see, but God was with them and went before them with a shield against their enemies.